I can well see why it does not suit the king to meet up with Harry at this point. If he does meet up with him and
they met, but King Charles gave Harry the cold shoulder with no special treatment, which may explain, and these two images from Meghan's mole side by side show why Harry looked so miserable.
Picture this. King Charles pacing nervously through the polished corridors of Clarence House, but instead of appearing as the dignified monarch of Great Britain, he looks more like a man clutching a live grenade in his pocket. Every step echoes tension. The atmosphere isn't one of royal grace or quiet reflection. It's suffocating with suspicion. He's staring down a decision that could shake not only his family, but also the monarchy itself. Should he meet his estranged son Harry during this rumored London trip? And let's be real, this is not about a father longing for his son, number. This is war disguised as reconciliation, a game of chess where every piece is sharp enough to draw blood. Charles knows it. He's not just weighing whether to open his heart, he's calculating political fallout, constitutional shockwaves, and above all, the terrifying suspicion. What if Harry shows up wearing a wire? Yes, the king himself is haunted by the thought that his own son could be secretly recording him. And if you think this is too dramatic, think again.
Well, there is that element as to why Charles will not receive calls from Harry or make calls to Harry, because, you know, he can be entrapped and he's quite determined.
Because whispers about Harry's alleged recording habits have been swirling through Buckingham Palace for years. Staff muttering behind velvet curtains, aides lowering their voices in dim corridors. But lately, the murmurs have turned into alarm bells. The chatter is serious. Harry might be secretly recording his family, not because he's paranoid, but as a cold, calculated strategy to protect himself, to weaponize words, to turn every private exchange into potential ammunition in his endless PR battles. And here's where it gets juicier. Meghan is said to be the one fueling this fire. Reports out of Montecito say Meghan has been drilling one warning into Harry's head again and again like a mantra. Don't trust them. Not a single one.
Cold shoulder with no special treatment, which may explain, and these two images from Meghan's mole side by side show why Harry looked so miserable.
For Meghan, every interaction with Charles is nothing less than a trap. She reportedly believes that if Harry dares to walk into a room without evidence, a recording, proof of his own version of events, then the palace will happily twist the narrative to suit their agenda. But here's the irony. Charles fears exactly the opposite. In his mind, Harry's the one who can't be trusted. He imagines Harry taking a heartfelt, vulnerable moment, slicing it up, packaging it neatly, and shipping it off to Netflix for millions. A scandal gift-wrapped in palace intrigue. And honestly, can you blame Charles? Harry's past actions haven't exactly screamed trustworthiness. Remember that bizarre 12-minute meeting last year? Harry reportedly flew in without warning, blew up Charles's schedule, and stormed off without so much as a debrief. Palace staff were left scrambling to clean up the mess, and when Harry landed back in LA, the headlines shouted, "Reunited, emotional. King breaks silence for son. Total fabrication." But the damage was already done. The story had been written, and that's exactly the nightmare Charles is trying to avoid now.
They met, but King Charles gave Harry the cold shoulder with...
For Charles, one private call could morph into a scandal splashed across global tabloids. One hug could be reframed as a desperate truce. One word spoken in kindness could be twisted into a weapon. So Charles has taken the ultimate defensive move. He's gone cold. He stopped taking Harry's calls completely, not out of spite, but out of sheer caution. Palace aides, however, want to go even further. The whispers in those gilded hallways? If a meeting does happen, Harry might need to be searched first. Yes, searched like a criminal before he's even allowed to see his father. We're talking full-scale security, pat-downs, metal detectors, electronic sweeps of Clarence House, transforming a royal residence into something resembling Heathrow security. It sounds extreme, maybe even absurd. But to Charles's advisors, this isn't paranoia, it's policy. Why? Because the fear runs deep. Senior royals are convinced Harry might try to sneak in some kind of recording device. Maybe not for blackmail, but to protect himself. Or worse, to release it when it best suits the Sussexes' narrative. Because here's the brutal truth. Harry and Meghan's brand isn't shining like it once did. The Spotify deal? Gone. Netflix? Reportedly restless. Hollywood? The glitter has faded. Meghan is allegedly scrambling for new projects while Harry keeps replaying old grievances. So how do they keep their names in the headlines? Simple. By staying close to the monarchy. Just being photographed near Buckingham Palace sparks weeks of gossip, endless tabloids, and social media buzz. They don't even need the meeting. The rumor of a meeting is enough to reignite their fading star. Charles isn't blind to what's happening. He's seen this circus before. Decades ago, when Diana's media battles consumed the monarchy, the manipulation, the pressure, the carefully crafted narratives disguised as truth-telling, it all feels like déjà vu. He knows the fire Meghan and Harry are playing with because he lived through it once already. And it nearly burned the House of Windsor to the ground. Now Charles has Camilla whispering firmly in his ear, and trust me, Camilla isn't mincing words. She's laying it down in black and white. Do not meet him alone. Her stance is ironclad. To her, Harry isn't the lost son searching for reconciliation. He's a liability. Worse, a Trojan horse for Meghan's relentless media ambitions. In her eyes, Charles's soft heart could easily be weaponized. If Harry is given an inch, Meghan will stretch it into 100 miles of chaos, and Charles listens, because despite being king, he knows one truth. Camilla is the survivor. She clawed her way back from decades of brutal public hatred. She rebuilt her reputation from the ashes, and now she wears a crown. She knows better than anyone how fast the tide of public opinion can turn. One photo, one rumor, one manipulated clip, that's all it takes. And so, she draws her own battle lines. No private chats, no unsupervised hugs, no side door reconciliations. If Harry gets into the room, it will be clinical, cold, documented, with witnesses, with paper trails, with zero room for interpretation. But here's where it gets darker. Whispers suggest Harry may have already crossed that line. Palace insiders whisper about his last chaotic 12-minute visit. They claim Harry may have been fiddling with his phone before stepping into Clarence's house, voice memo app allegedly open. Another insider swears that the palace's internal security logs picked up a strange beeping noise during his visit. Nothing was ever proven, nothing official. The palace buried it, but suspicion stuck like a stain they couldn't wash off. Now, with this rumored summit looming, that suspicion has mutated into full-blown paranoia. Behind the scenes, some of Charles's most trusted advisors have started to label Harry as a flat-out liability. One even dared to say the unspeakable, "You don't negotiate with someone wearing a wire." Think about that. To his father, to his family, Harry isn't just a son anymore. He's a risk. A risk to Charles's reign, a risk to the monarchy's fragile credibility, and most painfully, a risk to the memory of Diana herself. Because hovering over all of this is a nuclear rumor that Harry might be planning a Diana-centered Netflix project, and not the soft memorial kind, the dangerous kind, the conspiracy-laced blame-casting kind, a project that could shred Charles's reputation all over again. And Charles knows if Harry plays that card, the backlash won't just be about Diana. It'll be about him, about the man who let his son twist grief into a global weapon. That's why Charles has been stalling. That's why he lets calls go unanswered, hiding behind palace silence. Because in this cruel chess game, silence feels like the only safe move left. But then, boom, the whole situation exploded. And William? Furious doesn't even begin to cover it. He's always been protective of Charles's reputation after watching the press shred him for decades. To William, this crossed the line from betrayal to war. He allegedly told aides, "If Harry's done this, he's finished. He'll never be allowed near us again." But here's where the story twists again, because instead of retreating, Harry doubled down. Through carefully placed leaks in American magazines, his camp started floating a new narrative. Harry doesn't want revenge. He just wants accountability. He just wants a truthful conversation with his father. Sounds noble, right? But the phrasing wasn't random. It was bait. Because how do you prove a conversation is truthful? You record it. That was the justification. That was the shield. And every palace insider knew exactly what it meant. A chill swept from Sandringham to Windsor. Charles is trapped in the ultimate royal catch-22. Refused to meet Harry, and the Sussexes will paint him as a cold, heartless father too callous to even sit with his son. but agree to meet, and if Harry's recording, Charles hands him dynamite on a silver platter. And so, trapped in this royal nightmare, the palace has done something extraordinary. They've drawn up what insiders are calling summit protocols. These aren't gentle family reunion guidelines. Oh no, these are hardcore, almost military-level rules. Think about it. A father needing legal protocols just to meet his son. That's how far things have spiraled. The list? Shocking. First, a full security sweep of the meeting room. Every lamp, every cushion, every crack in the woodwork, 30 minutes before Charles even walks in. Then the rules get stricter. 0 personal devices. None. No phones, no smartwatches, not even a pen with a hidden mic. Harry would be escorted in and out by security officers like some high-risk visitor, not a prince of the realm. And here's the kicker. A third-party witness must be present at all times. Yes, that's right. Someone neutral, someone untouchable, like the Archbishop of Canterbury himself, sitting silently in the corner to verify everything. But the most jaw-dropping clause, a pre-meeting contract. Harry, the king's own son, would have to sign a legal document swearing that he is not secretly recording. Imagine that. A father asking his son for a signed guarantee of trust. And you can bet Harry took it as an insult. But for Charles, it wasn't insult. It was survival. Because this isn't just about father and son anymore. It's about the monarchy itself, and Charles knows it. The institution has already been scorched by Harry's accusations, claims of racism, favoritism, emotional neglect, family feuds, all spilled into interviews, books, and Netflix specials. Public trust in the royal family has never fully recovered, and yet here comes Harry, threatening to set the flames roaring again. Meanwhile, the clock keeps ticking. Harry wants this meeting to happen now during his London trip. Charles is paralyzed. A father's instinct says, reach out, embrace him, heal this rift, but a king's instinct says, stay guarded, stay silent, protect the crown at all costs. The tension is eating Charles alive. Insiders whisper he's grown withdrawn, spending hours behind closed doors with only Camilla and his most senior advisors. Casual appearances are quietly canceled, and every time Harry's name is raised, his jaw locks, his expression hardens. Because here's the unspoken truth. If Harry really did secretly record Charles, then their bond, whatever was left of it, is finished. Not just father and son, not just family, it becomes surveillance. Every smile, every hug, every word would forever feel like potential evidence, and once you cross that line, you never go back. But while Charles drowns in doubt, Montecito hums with confidence. Meghan, ever the strategist, is reportedly spinning this whole saga like a Hollywood script. To friends, she's framing it as David versus Goliath, the lone truth-teller battling a ruthless, secretive institution. She insists Harry must protect himself because otherwise the palace will twist his words. It's the same framing they used in the Oprah interview, the Netflix docuseries, even Harry's memoir Spare. Always the same angle, self-defense. Even when the attack is obvious, they cloak it as survival. And let's face it, it works. At least with their devoted fans who see Harry and Meghan as brave underdogs against a cold monarchy. But inside Buckingham Palace, that narrative isn't just irritating, it's terrifying. Because to them, Harry isn't playing by the rules of family anymore. He's playing by the rules of media. And the first rule of media is simple. Record everything. That's the paranoia eating the royal household alive. If Harry walks into a room with Charles, all it takes is one sigh, one slip, one offhand remark, and suddenly it's the centerpiece of a global scandal. And scandals, once recorded, can't be denied. Because in today's world, truth doesn't matter. Perception does. And Harry knows that better than anyone. William, ever the protector, is reportedly pushing his father toward the nuclear option, cancel the meeting altogether, issue a blunt public statement that no summit is planned, shut the door firmly on Harry. To William, there's no upside, only danger. But Charles can't quite do it. Because for all the politics, the protocols, the fear, this is still his son, his boy, and that's the tragedy at the heart of this mess. Deep down, Charles wants to believe Harry isn't capable of something so cold, so treacherous. He wants to believe that his son wouldn't secretly record him, but he can't ignore the possibility that he would. And if he would, then what's left between them isn't love, isn't family. It's leverage. And in this family, leverage is deadlier than hate.